I'm not confident that Iowa will upset Indiana. In fact, I picked Indiana to win and win convincingly in this Indiana versus Iowa game, as I think Indiana is one of the best teams in the country, that Iowa is still challenged in a variety of ways. And look, I strongly believe Indiana is going to win here and probably dominate, but I never want to count Iowa with their trench play and special teams and defense, especially in Kinnick, out. I never want to count them out. So I'm going to go through Iowa's path to upset Indiana here as 7.5, 8.5 point, depending on where you look, underdogs. Before we begin, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when we go live and when we release daily content here on College Football with Sam. Also, make sure to watch the video all the way through. That way you can get the full picture of what I'm saying and comment your thoughts and analysis down below. And hit the bell for not just the channel, but the Iowa football and Indiana football playlists. That way you can get notified whenever I talk about these teams. And if you have not seen my Iowa versus Indiana preview yet, or you want to know my logic behind why I think Indiana is going to win big here, there are two videos and a reply to the pinned comment that you should check out. But here's the upset path for Iowa. Gronowski has to play well. He has to play about as good as he did against Rutgers at a bare minimum, if not continue his track record of improvement and have the best game of the season this year. More likely than not, he probably has to have the best game of his life for Iowa to have a crack at winning here, because there is a lot that goes Indiana's way. I mean, Indiana has, from my perspective at least, the better trenches, the better linebackers, the better DBs. The only position Iowa may be better at are parts of the offensive line, and probably kicker, and maybe punter, and obviously return specialist with Caden Weechen. But Indiana is a unit. They're a wagon. So on top of Gronowski playing well, and I thought he did against Rutgers, it was kind of Iowa's social media team to put my audio in their video about Mark Gronowski against Rutgers. I think that Iowa will have to get pressure in addition. They'll have to sack Mendoza a few times and get Indiana off schedule. They can't just get pressures on him and have him throw it away, because he isn't really turnover prone, at least this year. And even last year, he wasn't very turnover prone, despite having a much worse offensive line and team overall. They're going to have to sack him, get Indiana off schedule to force some punts, and maybe they can force a turnover here or there. Special teams have already been flawless for Iowa. They must continue to be flawless if the Hawkeyes want to win this game. They must make their field goals and protect their punts from being blocked and return punts to give their team favorable field position. Indiana has a better offense than Iowa, we know that, but the early returns and metrics say they have a better defense too. So how can Iowa, on top of the home field advantage and playing a really good game, make up for some of that? They can win the field position battle and make it easier for their offense and for their defense. Defensively, I think that they have to tackle. Indiana did a very good job of moving the football on Illinois, especially early, because they broke tackles and were the more physical team. Iowa needs to be physical. They need to be physical early and, of course, for 60 minutes. But they cannot start slow. The linebackers, they got to be gap sound. Indiana is a team this year that can run downhill even when you know they are running right at you. Whereas last year's team, they had some struggles running the football compared to this year's team and compared to this year's Iowa and last year's Iowa team as well. So you got to tackle well. You got to get pressure. Really, I'm looking for Iowa's defense to play exceptionally well and for Gronowski to make enough throws here and there to keep Iowa in it, and then maybe at the end they eke out a win. I have a harder time seeing Iowa beat Indiana, if I got to be honest, than I do Washington beating Ohio State, and I have a hard time seeing Washington beat Ohio State. I mean, this, I think, is one of the least likely upsets of the week, but again, I don't want to overlook Iowa here, because Iowa, I think, finally has enough offense to where, whether it's this year or maybe even in the future, depending on if Ferentz stays or not, I don't exactly know, but I feel like they could be due for one of those huge home upsets. And I think given the caliber of team that Indiana is this year. Ferentz has talked glowingly about how they remind him in parts of Ohio State. That there's an opportunity for them to do so here against Penn State when they host Penn State, and against Oregon as well when they host Oregon late in November. There's a chance for all of those things. They won't get all of those upsets, but there is a chance that they can get one of them for sure. Iowa has a lot of wonderful players. Max Llewellyn, who's a future NFL player. You also have Ethan Hurkett. You have Aaron Graves. And then on the back end, I think that the corners have actually played better than I expected for Iowa this year. So not counting Iowa out here. Those are the reasons why they can pull off a fantastic upset. I just don't think, unfortunately, for Iowa fans that it's going to happen. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this segment of College Football with Sam here. Also, do me a favor and make sure to hit the notification bell on the Iowa and Indiana football team playlists, because there is a really good chance we're going to be covering these teams every week from here on out. Very good chance that happens. I'll see you guys very soon. Have a great day, a great weekend of college football, and stay safe.